Prison News on Anchor. Well, greetings and welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host. We gave you just a little taste of the prison bell this morning. First up, an inmate, this guy escaped 3 times from a federal prison. An inmate at the federal prison camp in Atlanta has been indicted for escaping and then re-entering on 3 separate occasions back in 2016. Now, what do you think? Well, he's got a very unusual name called J.E.L. Thomas, 36, of Dalton. He escaped from the facility, and Attorney John Horn said in a news release that the camp is part of the U.S. penitentiary. Now, surveillance photos allegedly showed that Thomas was in a wooded area outside prison property. Who got in trouble? No, nobody got in trouble. Warden? No, spokesperson. The federal indictment of inmate Thomas once again clearly reflects that inmates who get away from these U.S. penitentiary grounds in Atlanta will be properly dealt with as escapees, said David J. LaValle, agent in charge of the FBI's Atlanta office. Okay, now the FBI is having to be taken away because the warden can't keep his people in there, and he's going to run up a big bill. Don't think this David J. LaValle, special agent in charge, don't think he's working by himself. The clock is ticking, baby, and a massive bill is being run up because the warden can't be bothered, I guess, with making sure this guy can stay in prison. Anyway, it talks about potential harm to the public. My take on this is the guy was out on a work camp somehow. He got out, which is probably not too hard, judging by what we've read about some of the setups, and he was basically coming back with liquor and drugs. So, go figure. Next up, this is a sad one, folks. Inmates blame Virginia women's prison for deaths and an amputation. Now, the picture of the woman's here, she's trying to put on a game face. A Virginia women's prison that settled complaints last year regarding substandard health care is continuing to fail inmates, according to a federal court filing. Now, 2 inmates actually died on this thing in Fluvanna in July. A 70-year-old Carolyn Liberto was serving time for a murder case. And then 38-year-old Deanna Neese, whose online court records showed that she had a conviction for forgery and probation violations. Well, they're dead. Now, Liberto suffered from hypertension and had a history of congestive heart failure, according to the court filings, before she died of cardiopulmonary failure. The sad part is, it says here her medication ran out, and she went into the prison nurse and said, "Hey, I've got chest pains. Help me, I'm hurting." What they call it is a medical staffer. When they do prison speak, they say the medical staffer kind of returned to the cell, looked around. She died overnight. Well, another lady, this is a tough one. Former inmate Sherry Richburg, she was convicted of heroin distribution. She talked about inconsistent access to antibiotics, and it forced her, by not giving her the antibiotics on like a 10-day string or whatever, it caused her to have a femur transplant in her leg, and she says they had to replace her leg with partial cement. I haven't heard of that one. She lost 40 pounds. She fell trying to go to the bathroom, and her leg had to be amputated at the hip. We can't deny. I'm seeing that right now. She says, "I was punished for my crimes. I did my time," Richburg said. "But Fluvanna punished me a second time when the medical staff didn't take care of me." And now the prison and the medical contractor, Armor, are going to, medical contractor, that's right. Look at this, privatization. Here's an example of what happens when you privatize inmate care. The state gets all their money, the feds get all their money on appropriation bills, and then when it comes time to do the job, they hand it off to this prison contractor named Armor, and a leg got cut off with a bone saw. Well, there you have it. Now, this next one we hardly have time for. It says, lawyer sues Arkansas prison system over execution drug label. This is one they try to keep quiet. Now, this is a Little Rock attorney. He's done this before. He's again suing the Department of Corrections, saying you need to publicly disclose what kind of materials you're using in that execution drug. I mean, is this something used on dogs when they get sick, or the veterinary gives them a shot? What is it? But his report is Stephen Schultz, if you want to look him up. In fact, let's go ahead. We don't have enough time. Let's go to one more, finish this story up on the next channel.